welcome to the channel and welcome to this 1000 point battle between my homebrew chapter, the Astral Embers, and my custom Freebooter Orc army, the Pirate Orcs. It's been a while since I've done any videos or, to be honest, played any Warhammer. So since I've last done any content, I got myself some of these Squighog boys because I basically modified Mozrog to ride on a shark because I think it looks like a shark. I kind of did the same with his Squighog boys. So they do have some, particularly these guys, have a little bit of hammerhead shark thing going on. Oh, was he going to turn? No, a bit of hammerhead shark going on. Same with this guy. Yeah, and I also have painted my Leviathan Space Marines to basically be on the white side of my Astral Embers chapter, who are basically sometimes orange, sometimes white, sometimes black and orange. Yeah, whatever I fancy paint. It's been a while since I've played. We're gonna give it a go with 10th, one of the more basic missions, and yeah, try and have some fun. So let's go through the orc list first. We have a battle wagon. I believe I've given it the kill cannon in its options. If you haven't seen this before, there it is. Little bow, little pirate ship thing going on. I've got 2 units of 20 boys. This is just 1 unit of 20 boys, but basically there's another one in there, let's say. I've got a truck. This is actually a scratch-built truck that somebody else made, or could be a battle wagon. I bought it on eBay a while back. It's such a cool little model. It looks like they've added things sort of after the fact, little grots and things like that. Love a grot. Yeah, so we've got a truck, battle wagon, 2 units of 20 orcs. The Squighog boys with Mozrog Scragbad, is that his name? And also this little grotty squig rider. Also, for some sort of deep striking, we have my cannonball riding storm boys. They are riding what I've called cannonball squigs instead of having backpacks. Also, look at this terrain. This is from Terrain on Tap. Go and have a look at their website, their eBay shop, if you want to have a look at that. Space Marines is the first time I'm using this. I think he's a captain in Terminator armor. He is my warlord. We've got a chaplain on a bike. I did think when I added him that I'd added some outriders to give him someone to hang around with, but it turns out I haven't. We got some of the new Terminators here. I really like these models. The kind of bigger Terminators are absolutely class, I think. They have a librarian with them. We got 6 intercessors. We've got some Stern Guard veterans. Apologies if this offends your eyes. I did a battle report a while back with some basically mostly unpainted miniatures, and someone in the comment having a real go at me. So there you go. I've got some painted minis. And we have a fairly terribly painted land speeder. What's the Scorchio version with the flamers and whatnot. We got some assault intercessors, and that's it. You don't get a huge amount of Space Marines, I think, for 1000 points, but that's what we have got. So yeah, we got 1000 points of Space Marines, 1000 points of Orcs. Let's roll off and see what's what. So we've got an orange dice for the Astral Embers. We've got a green one for the Orcs. The winner decides who's the defender and who's the attacker. Oh, 2 6s. That's a good start. I'm not going to roll that well later, am I? Whoa, 2 4s. If this is another double, I go to jail. No, Astral Embers win. So as Astral Embers, I'm going to say that the Orcs are going to be defending, and so the Orcs need to start deploying first. So I'm going to deploy. The deployment, I can't remember what it's called exactly, but we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 objectives here. Deployment zones are basically here for the Orcs and here for the Space Marines. And after from second turn onwards, basically get 5 or 10 points for holding more objectives, and then same at the end of the battle as well. That's deployment done. We basically have 20 units of orc boys here who plan to storm this. We've got lots of Squighog boys and Mozrog there. He's basically just going to go and try and dominate the center section. We have a, what's it called? Battle wagon full of 20 orcs. That's going to try and sort of take that, but also, you know, apply some firepower to the center here. Yeah, and there's a truck at the back who's basically going to try and hold that objective, but there are some deep striking units from the Space Marines, so not entirely sure how that'll go. The Space Marines, this entire unit of Terminators led by the Librarian is going to deep strike, as is my Warlord, this guy in Terminator armor. I've done an interesting thing here, I think, I'm basically given up on that flank. I haven't put any units over there to try and threaten that. I may end up regretting that. We have the Stern Guard vets in the middle with a heavy bolter here, basically laying down firepower on anything around here. In the center, we got a lot of mobility. We've got the Chaplain on the bike. We've got the Flamey Land Speeder. That's going to basically just try to have to whittle down this unit. Intercessors at the top here, they're just going to try and whittle down the unit of Orcs. And the same with this. I'm going to try and deny them a charge, because basically Orcs are most powerful when they're declaring a Waaagh, like on that turn, when they're just basically sprinting around, hitting hard, being tough. So I think as the Space Marines, I'm actually going to try and sit back as much as possible and shoot to try and just deny the Orcs getting into combat like as soon as possible, which is kind of what they want to do always, isn't it? Right then, let's roll off and see who gets the first turn. Orange is Astral Embers, green is Orcs, and it's the Space Marines to go first. You know what? After a bit of deliberation there off camera, I think I'm actually going to stay still as the Space Marine player. This is basically, if I move, I'm probably going to be closing the distance here, which just means Orcs get into combat quicker. So yeah, they're just going to stay still, and everyone's going to shoot. Actually, everybody's out of range except for the Stern Guard Heavy Bolter here. And I believe the Dreadnought. So first off, we're going to do the Stern Guard Heavy Bolter, and we're going to put that into these Orcs. We will be hitting on 4s, but Heavy stayed still, hit on 3s. It's wounding on 4s, both got 3. Picks up saves to save some boys. Neither. So we've got 2 dead Orcs at the back. Let's get the unpainted 2nd edition Orcs out of there. I actually forgot to do Oath of Moment, which lets me reroll hit rolls and wound rolls. I'm going to put it on Mozrog's unit of Squighog boys. I'm going to put basically everything into here. Ballistic Las Cannon, 2 shots. Getting rerolls, doesn't need. Wounding on 3s, gets reroll. Each of these gets through. The Squighog boys have 3 wounds each. The first shot does d6 plus 1 damage. That is 1 dead Squighog boy, and then d6 plus 1. Wow, 1 other very dead Squighog boy. And so pretty effective shooting there, to be honest. Let's take this guy out, which is a shame. That's the first time I'm using him. And we'll take this guy. I did say everything's going to that unit, so we got 2 crack missiles now. We got to reroll the hit because of the Oath of Moment. Yep, same again, I believe. 3s to wound with rerolls, doesn't need them. This one does d6 damage. Another dead Squighog. Another dead Squighog. Oh my lord. Actually, I think that leaves this. I think he's got 4 wounds. So he is down to 1 wound. And I believe that's dead. And I think that's dead. I think that's how it works. Anyway, that Dreadnought absolutely annihilated that unit of Squighog boys, which is a shame because this is the first time I'm using them and I've never even got to move them or hit anything. That's a bit sad. Nice one, Dreadnought. Cheers, yeah. All the shooting done for Space Marine turn 1. I'll be honest, that was very effective. It's basically nearly done for this unit of Squighog boys, Mozrog's unit. And it's taken a couple of Orcs away. So now we're going to move on to Orcs turn 1. So the Orcs have pretty much all advanced up. We've got some Orcs getting on this objective, potentially. We've got this guy on there. We got what's it called? The big battle wagon over there. The only shooting I can do, to be honest, is the kill cannon over there into the Dreadnought here. So I rolled for, they get d6 plus 1 attacks. I rolled a 5. So we got this amount of attacks and we are hitting on 5s. Good shooting. Not that good, actually. 1-6. And it wounds on a 5. And it succeeds. And it's 2 AP. Dreadnought has a 2-up save, so 4-up save. Passes. To be honest, a little bit of an underwhelming Orc turn there. Nothing is chargeable. The Space Marine is doing a good job of just sitting back to pew pew. Make of that what you will. And now we're going to move on to turn 2 for the Space Marines. That Space Marine movement done. Our Warlord has basically deep striked in to try and threaten this truck at the back. Basically just going to try and bully that objective there. I forgot to do victory points actually, but I think they only score 1 this turn. But yeah, we'll do that in a second. The Land Speeder has basically come forward to try and get some flames into this Orc Boys unit, because they're probably going to Waaagh next turn. Terminators are coming over here in order to basically threaten that flank. You know, before I said that I'd kind of given up on that flank, but I feel like this, what's it called, battle wagon full of Orc Boys probably needs some attention here. And also in the middle, I've got this chaplain who is basically going to try and do stuff against Mozrog, Scragbad, and his kind of weakened pals. Mr. Dread has stayed stationary. Sternguard veterans stayed stationary. They're just going to shoot stuff. Also, deliberately sort of haven't moved these assault intercessors and normal intercessors. They're going to shoot, try and take whittle some orcs down. And I basically didn't move that to try and deny the orcs a charge on the next turn. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. Let's go on to shooting first. What should we do first? We're going to put the Dreadnought into the battle wagon. The last cannon went into it. It actually got a couple of good hits, but ramshackle rule means that gets nothing on a 6, which happened. And the crap missiles went into it and then basically have taken 2 wounds off it, so it's got 13 wounds. See what happens now when the Sternguard unit, is that going to focus? Yep, the Sternguard unit put all their shots into this unit. 1 very high up heavy bolter and 3 of these like double shot bolt rifles went into this unit and actually killed the last Squighog boy. New unit, newly painted, newly modelled. Didn't get to do a thing. I'm going to put assault cannon and some storm bolters into Mozrog. So the assault cannon hits on 3s with 6 shots. I've just realised Mozrog is toughness 8. That's like a flipping tank's toughness. Literally like a tank's toughness. So any of these that go through are going to wound on 5s. So here we go. Hitting on 3s. All but 3 of them. So half of them hit. Wounding on 5s. 1 of them. Mozrog's got a 3-up save. Assault cannons, look at the size of these things, don't have any AP, so he just gets a 3-up save, which he makes. Assault cannon did nothing. All the storm bolters, including the librarians, went in. A few hits, a couple of wounded, but he made his save. So wow, Mozrog is absolutely tough as old boots, as they say. Now we're going to move on to this Land Speeder with a toasty going into these. No, scratch that. I'm going to put the multi-melter into Mozrog to try and do some damage, take some wounds off, and the heavy flame. The Land Speeder put the heavy flamer into here and killed 2 orcs, and also a couple of hits on Mozrog. Successfully hit, failed the wound. Failed the wound and used up a command point reroll in the process. So actually, you know what, it is pretty unsuccessful shooting so far, I think, from the Space Marines, all up. Now we're going to go on to the combat phase, and I'm going to try and declare a charge. My chaplain. So it's probably like a 9-inch roll. There's, you could say, can motorbikes go upstairs? Valid question. But he just rolled 2 6s in order to charge in. So you know what it is. I used to read Judge Dredd. I'm pretty sure that this guy can do that if he wants. So the chaplain gets 5 attacks. He hits on 2s. Again, the toughness, a real problem because he's toughness 8. He's strength 5. This is going to be pretty tough. So hitting on 2s. Got no re-rolls, but they all hit. And then we're going to be wounding on 5s. Another roll like that would be good. Mozrog special character has a 4-up invulnerable save, which he makes. Now it's time for the big old chomp, and the wacky whack, slicey slice to go into the motorbike on this. Now, I don't want to, put ideas into your head, but I've got a sneaking suspicion that Mozrog and his big shark squig are going to absolutely annihilate that chaplain in one turn. Should we start off with the chopper? We're hitting on 3s and we're wounding on 3s and doing lots of damage, to be honest. They all hit. No, they don't. 2 of them hit. Wound on 3. Oh, wound on 3s. Chomper's jaws, actually. This is not thing wounding. So 4 up and vulnerable. Each of these does 3 wounds. If it fails, I haven't got any command points left, and so 3 wounds down to 2 wounds, and it's time for the big chopper. This is 4 attacks, hitting on 2s and wounding on 3s. Hitting on 2s, yeah. Wounding on 3. In fact, I'm going to do a little orky reroll, and it's passed. Wounding on 3s. To save him, because basically I think one of these fails, then he's dead. 4 up invulnerables, and he's dead. The chaplain, what a hero on the motorbike, going up the stairs. He didn't do any wounds to that, and he's dead. And with that is the end of Space Marines turn 2. What happened there? Basically a couple of wounds off a battle wagon, a couple of orcs dead. Last Squighog boy dead, but honestly, Mozrog's doing a great job. He's doing an absolutely fantastic job. The chaplain just rode up the stairs into the mouth of the squig. So, you know, the squig doesn't need feeding for a little while. That's good news. Let's move on to Orcs turn 2. Orcs scoring a lot of objectives this turn. We got this one, we got this one, we got this one. I think that gives us 10 command points at the start of the turn versus the 1 that the Space Marines had. Also, unsurprisingly, I am going to declare a Waaagh. So if you're wondering what a Waaagh does, basically I get to advance and also charge in the same turn. I get to add 1 to my strength and attacks, I believe. Whew, going to be pretty crazy. And also, everybody, even the lowliest orc, gets a 5 up invulnerable save. The Waaagh is pretty powerful in 10th, and let's try and make... Welcome to the Waaagh turn. There were 20 orcs here before, or 16 or so. Now they are all the way up here, ready to just try and press this flank a little bit. Let's go above for a little bit of a tactical view. 20 orcs came out of there and advanced, to get... close to these Terminators. These Terminators are in for a crumping. I'm not sure who's going to win the crumping, but there's a lot of orcs there who are extra strong and extra attacky this turn. Mozrog and his little pal, not content with eating a chaplain moments ago, are going to basically get stuck into here. What else? Oh yeah, the truck that was looking after this objective, actually, rather than be charged, has decided to charge this Space Marine. I think it's a captain, is it, in Terminator armor. So I think that if I was charged, I would definitely lose this objective. So the truck's actually going to have a go at charging in. Shooting's going to be up to much this turn for the orcs, so I'll do that off camera. So shooting, the truck shot into him, nothing happened. The orcs all shot into them, nothing happened. These all shot into them, nothing happened. The battle wagon shot into the dreadnought, nothing happened. But Mozrog, with his gut ripper pistol, pew, pew, shot into these guys and killed 1 space. Now let's see if we can get some combat happening. He probably needs a 3 to get in. Orcs probably need a 4 to get in. Oh! Should we do a little reroll? Do we reroll both or reroll 1? Either way. Orcs probably need a 2 to get in. Mozrog needs whatever to get in. Combat. The spiky wheels of the truck got in there, but the armor saved the captain. The captain, with his big power sword, basically cleaved away at the truck. However, it's ramshackle, and it's a Waaagh turn, so it's got a 5 up invulnerable save, meaning... it's fine. We've got how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 orcs going to hit this unit of assault intercessor. So all those orcs on a Waaagh turn have basically just deleted that unit of intercessors before they even got hit back. Mozrog and his squig charge the Stern Guard veterans, who are now also move on to these orcs into the basically the Terminators and the Librarian. This has to this has to not go the same way as these other combats. Because he's basically just eaten an entire unit of Sternguard veterans, and they have basically just done the same with Assault. All the Orc hitting killed 2 Terminators. So now we're going to hit back. So Orcs hitting in, killed 2 Terminators. Terminators hitting back, killed 5 Orcs, which is probably the closest thing to some kind of something that feels like a victory. Action-packed turn 2 for the Orcs there. I forgot to say before that my Storm Boys on Squigs came in the back. They haven't charged. So yeah, let's move on to, I believe it's Space Marines. It's actually turn 3 now for the Space Marines. So what to do? These, they should have consolidated actually in there. I'll put them in there. That wraps those intercessors up in combat. The Dreadnought, is he just going to try and shoot Mozrog to death? I think that's all that can happen, isn't it? Mozrog's such a problem in the middle, and is going to basically threaten in close combat in the next turn. Like, that's a certainty. This guy's just going to have to shoot. Actually, I could move up there and get that objective. Yeah, so he's going to move up there for the objective. He's just going to stand still and shoot. They're going to fight them. They're going to fight them. Wow. Oh, yeah, and my Warlord's going to continue trying to kill this truck, which he failed to even wound before. Moved up on there. That should be my objective next turn if that survives. Then we're going to cast Oath of Moment on the big sharky squig, just so that this Dreadnought and this Landspeeder can hopefully do some damage. Let's see. This Dreadnought basically shot into here and did nothing. Did some wounding, but the 4-up invulnerable save of Mozrog saved him. And this went in, multi-melter, heavy flamer, all went in. And it was actually the heavy flamer that took 1 wound off him. So he's down to 6. Yeah, so in shooting, 1 Orc got killed here. And that was it entirely. So yeah, let's move on. So in that round of combat for the Space Marines, basically only 1 Orc died in shooting over here. 1 Space Marine died in combat, which isn't too bad, I think, for the Space Marines. Over here, I think 1 Terminator went down to 1 wound at the back there, and the Orcs actually lost 2, 4, 6, 7 Orcs. They passed their leadership test, so they're actually okay. And over here, the truck did absolutely nothing to the Warlord. The Warlord took 8 wounds off the truck, so the truck's actually just down on to 2 wounds now. And with that, we move on to the Orcs' turn. I think this is Orcs' turn 3 now. Right then, so the Orcs still control this one because the boys were on it before, and they've got, like, keep this objective, whatever it's called. There's 1 over there, so that's 10 points. So it's, objective, what's it called? Victory points wise, it's currently 20 to the Orcs and 10 to the Space Marines. These boys are basically piled in around to get more hits on these intercessors. The Storm Boys have come down here to threaten this Dreadnought in close combat. Mozrog has come over here. He's just got 7 wounds left, but he's coming down to basically try and threaten this Dreadnought in close combat and then get that objective. And these Orcs are just kind of continuing to fight here. This battle wagon stayed stationary. It's going to try and use its gun to clear off this Landspeeder from the objective. And I mean, the days are numbered for this truck. He's going to try and hit back. In terms of shooting, we're going to skip most of the shooting, I think. Maybe Mozrog's pistol is going to go into there, see if it can do anything, and then we'll get charging. This shooting did nothing. I did the Storm Boys as well. But the pistols on these Orc Boys actually took a wound off these intercessors here. So now let's have a look at some charging. The Storm Boys probably need something like above like a 2 or a 3. Yeah, they're in. And Mozrog, we probably need like yeah, that's. I realised I forgot to do the shooting of the kill cannon into that. It's hit, it's wounded twice. It's got an AP of, what is it, -2? I thought it was more than that. So 5-up saves here. Both failed. I believe it does 2 damage each. Yeah, that's right. So the 4 wounds have basically come off this Landspeeder, meaning that it has only 2 wounds. Combat, the Orcs, all hitting into this, including Mozrog, did nothing. The Dreadnought, putting its armoured feet into Mozrog, also did nothing. No wounds. Combat, these Orcs managed to kill 2 Space Marines, finishing 1 of them off. The Space Marines killed 1 Orc. These Terminators and the Librarian absolutely just ruined the entire unit of Orcs. And finally, this truck was on 2 wounds, and unsurprisingly, the Warlord with that relic blade has removed that from the game, opening up that objective. So now we're on to Space Marines. I think it's turn 4 now, is it? I'll double check in a second. But yeah, basically the Warlord is going to slightly cowardly but very strategically run over there and get that objective for next turn's scoring and for the end of the match scoring. He's got 2 wounds left. I feel like that can just sit pretty a little bit. They're going to try and move over and threaten that. I think that's gonna survive until the end of the game, to be honest, and contest that. These guys are just gonna get splattered, but honestly, maybe not the end of the world because there's no objectives over here. Excuse me. Yeah, I think this objective now is to basically just, I can't think, out-survive. So just out-survive the orcs there, try and splat that if I can, and maybe actually I'll move this unit over here to try and give it some kind of cover save a bit more as the kill cannon tries to shoot through there. Warlord has moved there. He's controlling that now. That's good news for the end of the game. They're just staying there and holding on to the bitter end. He's just fighting. They've moved up. They'll try and charge, but in a massive change of heart. I thought I was going to go tactically from here to here, but I've actually I'm going to double down and try and get this battle wagon off that objective. And I've basically moved this in so that the multi-melter at half range hopefully does good damage on that. Flamer did nothing. The multi-melter hit and wounded, but guess what? Little bit of ramshackle. So the Librarian and the Terminators made their way into combat. Let's see how much damage they can do now in the fight phase. It's got 13 wounds left. Can they basically make it explode? Librarian actually did nothing. Now we're going to have the Terminators. 3 of them with 3 attacks each. That looks right. Oh, am I missing one? Nope, that's right. Hitting on 3s. We're wounding on 5s. That's some pretty good rolling. And I think each of these gets a ramshackle of a 6 up to save it. None of them. These does 2 wounds each, so -8. It was on 13. It's got 5 wounds left. Now it's going to fight back. The battle wagon, against all the odds, I think, because it hits worse now, has actually taken a wound off one of those Terminators. Now, let's see what Mozrog and his little pals can do to the Dreadnought. And the Dreadnought... So Mozrog's hit with all 6 of his attacks. It wounds because it's anti-vehicle on a 4-up. -1 AP means it's got a 3-up save. Both save. Mozrog did absolutely nothing to the Dreadnought. These guys actually ended up taking a wound off him, and he did nothing back to anybody in return. Now we're going to come over here and let's resolve this. So the orcs up to now have killed 1 Space Marine. These are all wounds here. So these need to be 3-ups from the Space Marines. Basically need 4 successful ones here to live. 1, 2, 3. Oh, one of them's left. One of them's left on 1. That Space Marine's left on 1. Now we're on to Orcs turn 4. So the second last turn. These guys are basically in combat there. I could perhaps leave that combat and go and get that objective. That might need some good rolling and another turn. I could also... I mean, that's just going to have to stay there, and we're not holding it anymore. This is lost. This is still ours because the orcs were on it a while ago. Let's see. Mozrog's actually fallen back from that combat to try and get on that next turn. He's got 7 wounds left, and have to always remember vehicles can now shoot in combat, so the kill cannon's going to shoot into those Terminators. These combats are going to happen. The Terminators managed to actually take 3 wounds off the take some wounds off the battle wagon. The Librarian nearly finished it off, but it actually rolled 2 6s in order to ramshackle its way to survive. So the Dreadnought actually managed to kill 3 Storm Boys, which was a bit of a shame as the Orcs. Orcs finished off that Space Marine who did nothing. So Space Marines turn 5. He's just going to stay there and keep that objective. Slightly cowardly, but tactically not the worst idea in the world. We control this one, and we control that one, and we control that one. So that brings the victory points level, actually. So it could be close, depending on if he gets onto that objective. Next turn, actually, that might not count. Oh, it will count for the end of the battle. Anyway, So yeah, Space Marines are going to, this land speeder is going to come around here and actually put some fire into him. I think he's got 6 or 7 wounds left. I think I moved one of those dice accidentally. That's going to continue to smash them. Yeah, let's see. Shooting did nothing. He killed the rest of them, and the battle wagon hit back. Took 1 wound off a Terminator. Terminator's hit back, and it is gone. The battle wagon is out. Not looking good for the Orcs right now. That's the end of Space Marines turn 5. Let's move on to Orcs. So he's advanced to get on there for the end game points. This is still ours, so we scored that this turn. They've moved around. They're going to try and basically charge into combat. Oops, with this Dreadnought. Oops, they're all falling over the place. Sorry about that. So they're going to need, like, I'm going to say they need a 12 to get into combat with them, okay? With that Dreadnought. Shall we see if we can roll a 12? Come on, the Orcs. Oh, nope. So yeah, I think that's basically it. They can't get into combat with that, so they can't challenge up to the end of the game. That's that. Let's tally up what the victory points are. Believe it or not, after all that, it's actually a draw with 40 points apiece. I didn't use any secondary objectives, which may have tipped things a little. But yeah, it's a draw because at the end of the battle, 1, 2, 3 are held by the Space Marines, and 1 and still 2 are held by the Orcs. So actually, Mozrog, even though it wasn't very orky or legendary, he actually advanced back there and got that. They would have lost that by 5 victory points if he hadn't done that. So yeah, thanks for watching this battle report. I hope you've enjoyed it. I've definitely enjoyed it. I probably got some rules wrong because this is like my second ever game of 10th edition. But yeah, that was... I honestly thought, like, when the Orcs Waaagh turn on turn 2 happened, I thought it was game over the Space Marines. I thought they just haven't got the bodies. They haven't got, you know, the firepower. So I didn't think it was going to go very well for them. But it turns out that it actually... went okay, and they actually brought it back, and then some tactical movements by Mozrog made it a draw in the end. Right, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you're into that kind of thing, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.